Hi, hello, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Danielle, and today we are going to be talking about YA fantasy. Now, caveat, I am a 30s-year-old woman. I think I'm 32 this year. Okay, so I am 32, and I do not read a lot of YA anymore, mostly because YA characters tend to be on the more immature side, and it starts to grate on me after a while. However, I do have 3 YA authors that I read from that I highly recommend for adult readers of YA, and I wanted to take you through those 3 recommendations today. And I've got very specific recommendations within those authors' repertoires, if that makes any sense. So let's go ahead and get started with the one who started it all for me, which is Leigh Bardugo and her Six of Crows duology. Now, I will say that I started with her Shadow and Bone trilogy first, and I actually do recommend that you start there. I think it helps give you a better understanding of the world she is creating in these series, because she's got 3 like interconnected series within this world. You don't necessarily have to read all of them, but I think it helps to read them in order. However, the series that really hooked me and had me obsessed, the way I tell you, I was obsessed with teenage relationships. It was unhealthy, but I was Six of Crows. So Six of Crows follows, I can't remember, I think it's six teenagers, for lack of a better word, who live in this Amsterdam-esque city in Rifthold, and basically, like, some of them have magical abilities, some of them do not, but they live in the underbelly of society. They are not prostitutes, but one of them is kind of like she gets picked up somewhere like that. We've got like gang members. It's great. And essentially it is a heist story. They get hired to do this job where they need to steal something from like the government, and it is like impossible to get to supposedly, but these teenagers are like the best, and so they set off to go do that. In the process, this follows their relationships developing, and you get some more insight into the world that they're in. It is fantastic. I absolutely love this. Six of Crows is my favorite of the 3 series, but honestly, all of her books have been fantastic. And she does have an adult series, which is top tier. So, but I really do like Six of Crows, and honestly, even out of her adult series too, I think Six of Crows might be my favorite. It is just one of those duologies that is a all-around hit. The first book and the second book are equally good. The characters are fantastic. The plot is great. I mean, it is just she knocked it out of the park with this one. So Leigh Bardugo is, I mean, I would read her grocery list. I really would. She's just phenomenal. So if you're looking for a YA fantasy series to get into, I would definitely start with Leigh Bardugo. Start with Shadow and Bone, but if you're not interested in that more high fantasy, you know, I mean, it's a more of a traditional high fantasy where you have the chosen one and a voyage or whatever that they have to go on, the epic quests kind of scenario. This is more of a Ocean's 11 with teenagers in a magical world. So if that's more your vibe, go with that one. It is fantastic. Yeah, that's Leigh Bardugo. So next up is another one that I recommend really often, and that is the Letters of Enchantment series by Rebecca Ross. That is Divine Rivals and Ruthless Vows. I have not read anything else by Rebecca Ross yet. I know she has another series called the Rivers of Enchantment? No. I can't remember. Something Endless River? I don't remember. There's something with a river in it though. And I do plan on reading that as well. But for right now, the only one I can recommend is Divine Rivals and Ruthless Vows. And when I tell you that I think this was written more for adults than it was for teenagers, I really do believe that. It is YA. There's nothing super spicy in it. I mean, it is a YA book. It is about two two journalists, Iris and Roman, who are rivals at a newspaper, news outlet, whatever, during a kind of like a World War One, World War Two-esque, I think it's more World War One, World War One-esque landscape, between, there's a war going on between these two gods, and people are being conscripted into their armies. And it's kind of tearing the world apart. And essentially they have this relationship through letters, but they don't know that they're writing to each other. Or, well, Iris doesn't know that she's writing to Roman. She's got like this magical typewriter. She writes letters to someone about what's going on in her life and how she misses her brother, and she slips it under her door, and it ends up in Roman's hands. And Roman starts writing to her on his magical typewriter and sending her letters right back. But he doesn't tell her that it's him. So anyway, it's a really great series. I think that the reason that it works so well for adults is that the characters are on the older side of YA. I think Iris and Roman are like 19, 20 when we're in these books. And so they do not come off as very teenagery, especially because we're living in a world where they have like full-time jobs. So they are living in a working adults, and then also we have a situation where they're in a war-torn country, and when you're in war it tends to maturize, I don't know, make people more mature people more quickly. So I think for that reason it is a really great YA series for adults to read, because it doesn't come off as super YA. So if you're looking for a YA series that doesn't exactly feel like YA, I would say Divine Rivals and Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross is a really good bet. And now, one that I am obsessed with, and I don't see everybody talking about as often as I feel like they should, is the lovely Tracy Deon's Legendborn. It's not a trilogy. It's going to be 5 books, I think. So it is, but she's only written 3 of them so far. I have read the first 2. I have not read the second one yet. It just came out. I just got it last week. And I really want to reread the first 2 books, but that's like 1,000 some odd pages. So I have to give myself some time for that, and then I'm going to get into Oathbound. But Legendborn, Bloodmarked, and then now Oathbound are currently out. It is a series that is still ongoing, but if you're okay with that, I highly recommend it. It is so good. We follow our main character, Bree, whose mother has recently passed, and she is entering this early college program at University of North Chapel Hill, or UNC, in North Carolina. And while she is there, she ends up getting involved in this secret society called the Legendborn. And one of the reasons that she does get involved is that because of certain events, she starts to think that maybe the Legendborn either are a reason that her mother was killed, or somehow involved, or know why her mother was killed, because she does not think her mother's death is an accident. And there is magic, there is like nods to, well, not nods, it is about the magic system has to do with the legends of the Round Table, Arthur and his knights, and basically the Legendborn are able to, they're like the ancestors of these knights, and they're able to embody their spirits, and that is part of the magic system of the Legendborn. However, Bree has something else going on with her, because clearly, as a Black girl, she is not a descendant of the Knights of the Round Table. Those men were white. But she's got something else going on with her, which is really exciting, and she does end up joining the Legendborn. It's so good. It's, the world building in it is phenomenal. The magic system is so interesting and different from anything else I've read. The themes about dealing with grief, understanding your like history as an African American person, and just dealing with all of that, and how being a minority in a world of not the minority, how that feels and what that is like. It just deals with all of those themes so, so well. As you can see, I loved it, heavily annotated it. It was so good. Highly, highly recommend this series, and the new book just came out, so if you're looking to get started, you are not too far behind. Yeah, Tracy Deonn, I don't think that she's written anything else. Yeah, I don't know that she's written anything besides the Legendborn cycle, and honestly, like, I hope that she just knocks these books out. I think we've been getting one every other year. Every other year? Yeah, which shows that she's taking the time to put into these books, and you can tell by the writing and the world building and the editing, it's just very well done. So I hope that she keeps on churning these out as quickly as possible so that I can read them because they're so good. But I am obsessed with Legendborn. It is so, so, so good. And even though Bree is a teenage character, and she comes off as a teenager. She is on the older side of the teenager. She's, I think, 16, 17 years old. Or maybe she's 17, 18. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I think she might be 17. She's on the older side, and she's a much more mature 17-year-old. Obviously, she's in an early college program. But she still does stupid teenagery stuff. However, I just think that this book, it works. It works really, really well. I don't know what it is about the writing. It's crack. I don't know. I'm eating it up though, and it is fantastic. So Legendborn, another series that I think is not geared towards, I think this one is definitely geared towards YA readers. However, I think that as an adult reader, this YA series specifically would be not beneficial to read. I think it's beneficial to read, but I think it would be a pleasure to read this YA series as an adult reader. So those are, let's see if I can stack these. Ooh. These are my 3 recommendations for YA fantasy series that I think adult readers would actually enjoy. So if you have any YA series that you think are a good recommendation for adult readers, please leave them down in the comments below. I'm dying to find, I feel like when a YA author does it right, they knock it out of the park because these series are top notch. So I don't think that it's YA that I don't like. I think that it's YA that's not phenomenally written, maybe? And I'm just looking for something that's YA and phenomenally written. So if you have recommendations, please leave them in the comments below. If you don't have anything really to add to the conversation, but you just want to let me know you were there, go ahead and leave a sword for, you know, the Knights of the Round Table. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.